They say a father never stops waiting for his daughter's voice. I didn't believe that until silence became my only companion. For 7 years, I woke up every morning hoping she'd call. Every time the phone rang, my heart jumped. And every time it wasn't her, I told myself, maybe tomorrow. Her name is Emily. My little girl who used to run around the house with her messy ponytail, asking me to fix her broken toys like I could fix the whole world. But life isn't that simple, is it? One mistake, one harsh argument, and suddenly, love turns into distance. It happened the night she left for college. I told her she was too young, too naive, not ready for the world. She told me I never trusted her, that I cared more about control than love. And then, she walked out. I thought she'd call after a few days. She never did. Years passed. Her room stayed the same. The posters on the wall, the piano she never learned to play, and a photo of us on her 12th birthday. I dusted it every Sunday. Not because it needed cleaning, but because it was all I had left of her. People told me to move on. But how do you move on from your own blood? How do you unlove a child you raised with your whole heart? Then one evening, when the sun was melting into the horizon, I received a message. Just 3 words that stopped my heartbeat for a moment. Dad, can we talk? I must have read that message 100 times. Dad, can we talk? 7 years of silence, broken by 4 simple words. I didn't reply right away. My hands were shaking, my throat felt tight. What could I even say? Of course, where have you been? None of it felt enough. I finally typed, always, sweetheart, always. The phone rang that night. Her name flashed on the screen, and for the first time in years, I hesitated to answer. What if she'd changed? What if she didn't need me anymore? But when I heard her voice, all the fears vanished. She still sounded like my little girl. Older, softer, but still Emily. Hi, Dad, she said quietly. I closed my eyes and let that moment sink in. Hi, baby, I whispered back. We talked for a long time, mostly pauses, broken by small, trembling words. She told me about her life. How she moved from one city to another, chasing dreams and running from guilt. Then she said the one thing I never expected to hear. I kept your number, Dad, I just couldn't call. Every time I tried, I remembered the way we argued, and I thought, maybe you stopped caring. I laughed softly, not because it was funny, but because I had thought the same thing about her. Emily, I said, not a single day went by that I didn't care. I just didn't know how to reach you without breaking again. She went quiet. Then I heard her crying. The kind of cry that comes from years of holding pain inside. We didn't solve everything that night, but something changed, something gentle and real. It was the first time in years that both of us said goodnight, and actually meant it. A week after that call, she texted again. Dad, I'm coming home this weekend. If that's okay. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Home, the word felt unfamiliar and sacred at the same time. I stared at that message, afraid to blink, as if the letters might disappear if I looked away. I spent the next 2 days cleaning the house. Not because it was dirty, but because it needed to feel ready for her. Her favorite mug, still on the shelf. The same old blanket on the couch where she used to fall asleep watching cartoons. Even the photo frames. I wiped each one, like I was polishing memories. When the doorbell finally rang, my heart almost stopped. I opened the door slowly, and there she was. Not the little girl who once held my hand to cross the street, but a grown woman, standing tall, holding a suitcase, with eyes full of tears and hesitation. For a few seconds, we just stood there. No words, no rehearsed speeches, just silence, thick and trembling. Then she whispered, "Hey, Dad," and I just smiled. But before I could speak, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. 7 years of pain dissolved in that single moment. Her heartbeat against my chest felt like time itself was forgiving me. "I'm sorry," she murmured, "for leaving, for not calling, for everything." I held her tighter. "No, Emily, I'm sorry too. I was too proud to listen, too stubborn to let you go your way." She pulled back slightly and smiled through her tears. "We both learned the hard way, didn't we?" I nodded. "But we learned." We sat in the living room that evening, talking, laughing, crying, as if 7 years were just 7 seconds. And when she finally fell asleep on the couch, the same way she used to as a child, I looked at her and whispered to myself, "My little girl finally came home." It's been a few months since that day. The house feels alive again, like it finally remembered how to breathe. There's laughter in the mornings, the smell of coffee in the kitchen, and music playing softly from the room that was once silent for years. Sometimes, I just sit by the window and watch her making breakfast, humming the same tune her mother used to sing. It feels like life has come full circle, the kind of peace you only understand when you've lived through pain. One evening, she asked me, "Dad, do you ever regret how things happened?" I thought about that for a moment. Then I said, "No, sweetheart. I regret the silence, not the story. Because even in the distance, we were still finding our way back." She smiled, her eyes soft and forgiving. And I realized, forgiveness isn't about forgetting what broke you. It's about remembering it without letting it hurt anymore. People think love fades when time passes. But I've learned it doesn't fade, it just waits. It waits for one call, one message, one knock on the door. Every scar on our hearts tells a story. And sometimes, those stories are the bridges that lead us home again. So if you're listening, and there's someone you love but haven't spoken to in years, call them. Don't wait for pride to melt with time. Because love, real love, doesn't need perfect timing. It just needs one moment of courage. I got my moment. And I'll spend the rest of my life grateful that I didn't miss it.